Hello there and welcome back to Painting with Martin. Today we're back with another painting tutorial for Star Wars Battle of Hoth. And this is, as you can see, is a scenario book, but the game art cover for the box is pretty much the same as this one, so I'm using this one instead of taking out the main game box as well. So I'm going to put this one aside for a moment because I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to be painting today. And we are going to take a look at this little fellow called the Snowtrooper. This is what it looks like when it's almost finished, except for the base. So if you want to turn your regular grey, this grey kind of plastics into something like this, you can continue watching. Now this one is going to be in 2 stages. I'm going to show you first a very basic, easy method. So if you just want to get them ready for the battlefield, and that's it. And then I'm going to show you a more advanced version of this Snowtrooper if you want to take it one step further. So the first thing you do is you take this grey plastic miniature and you spray paint it with a white primer. Now I've done that already and it looks like this. And now then I've also done another base coat of a thinly mixed white Vallejo colour with a little bit of water inside of it to make sure that it has full even coverage. It looks like this. It looks quite basic. What we're going to do first is that we are going to paint the gun as well as this little thing here in the back with a black kind of colour, and the colour we've chosen to use here is called German Grey. This is what it looks like, German Grey from Vallejo. So this is the first thing we're going to do. So I'm going to put it out here on my wet palette, a little bit off camera, and you were going to take a regular brush. I'm using a size 2 for this one. And I'm going to mount it on my red grass painting handle. Hopefully it will stay, because the putty here is getting a little bit old. So we're going to start by painting it neat and putting it just one single line over here, like this. That's it. And then we're going to paint the gun. And if you get something like on his fingers or something like this, it's fine, you can fix it later. The main thing is here is just to get the gun basically ready. And he's holding it, but in the front it's kind of like 3 barrels or something like that. And then on the back here you have the same thing here on the other side. The reason I'm painting the gun first and not anything else is that I'll show you that in a second, and it's going to be quite apparent to you why I'm choosing to use this method first instead of last, as I normally would. Make sure you have good even coverage. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something like this. Okay, we're already looking quite okay. So I'm going to put this aside and show you what it's like when it's finished. Of course, cleaning my brush in the meantime was nice to do. And this is what it looks like when it's done. I've done it in another miniature. So what we're going to do next is that we are going to apply a slightly unorthodox method of painting it, and that's going to be cover the entire miniature in Nuln oil or black wash from Vallejo. So I've got my Nuln oil over here. It's got a shade, Nuln oil shade from Citadel. Going to give it a good shake off camera, make sure all those pigments are mixing, and recommend you do the same. And then I'm going to apply it liberally over the entire miniature. But I'm going to first, I'm using a fairly old brush for this one, using a size 4 for this one. No, actually a size 6 even. And I'm going to apply it straight out. And I'm going to load the paint on the brush, and I'm going to make sure that I get the eyes really, really soaked with this paint, and that means, and then applying it liberally across the entire miniature. And by applying it to the eyes first, I avoid actually painting those eyes later on when the miniature is all white and covered with nice paint, because those details can be really hard to get to. Now I'm applying it over the entire miniature as such, to give us a basic idea of where the shading is going to be, and also giving us some definition for further on for the highlights. And applying it like this, you want to make sure it goes into all the recesses underneath over here as well. And of course, don't forget the his kind of a helmet, and on the shoes and or the boots here as well. So looking like this would be an acceptable like finish on it. Make sure it gets in these recesses here as well. And of course, don't forget the gun as well. Gives it another shade. That's also another reason why I painted the gun first. So I'm going to put this one aside for a moment. I'm going to show you what the ready product is actually looking like, because I prepared this one for a while. And I'm going to close the paint pot as well, always. And this is what the ready miniature looks like as such. Now, this one is more or less ready for the battlefield. So if you want to take it do it very, very basically, only another step is needed, and that's it. So I'm going to show you that very close step next by. This is the easy method. And the easy method would be very simple, is to take a mix of Screaming Skull from Citadel and any white color of your choice. In this case, I'm used white from Vallejo. To simply mix those two, and then you will apply this one over the legs here. I'm using it a little bit off camera, and I apply this one to the legs, just above his knee protection, his upper left side back here, sorry, right side back, the arms, and the other shoulder, and then using this one as well on the raised areas of his cape. As such, leaving some of the shading in the recesses and a little bit on the inside of his torso as well. Now, this one will provide a fairly basic finish. If you want to take it one step further, one step further only, to have this very basic model, you take some pure white and cover this one on the helmet, leaving of course the eyes that we covered in the Nuln earlier, covering the hands, his loin protection over here, and of course the knee protection as such. And then you also go back to the back, covering these on the backpack, the sides here, and the upper part here as well. You can also cover his kind of like two bags here as well with this color. Okay, and that means this model is now ready for the battlefield in a very basic step. It looks like this. It looks like a Snowtrooper from Return to Hoth, Battle of Hoth. And this means it's ready for the battlefield. The only thing you need to do is cover the base. So you can do this for all your Snowtroopers in less than 45 minutes. That's it. Of course, mine is the drying time. That's it. Now, if you want to, however, take it a little bit one step further, is that here is another one that I have just come out of the wash, and it looks just like it did before, and all the gun is all there. You can see the eyes are actually black, just like from the images from the card art. What you do next is that you take Screaming Skull, about 5 parts of Screaming Skull, and 1 part, even half a part, of Mechanicus Standard Grey. And what you do here is very simple. I mix this off camera, and that means you take it from all the 2/3 of his cape, including the upper part, all the way down, as well as you also put it on his legs above the knee protection, as well as the upper part of his boots. Now, as such, very, very basically, I'll show you why this is important. And you also do this to the other arm here as well. You might need 2 to 3 layers. Now what you do here then is that when you're done with that, making sure that it's nice, still wet, what you do next is that you take the same color, Screaming Skull and Mechanicus Standard Grey, and add in a tiny bit of Steel Legion Drab from Citadel, as well as any color of black that you want, just tiny amount. And what you do here is that you cover the lower part of this section, you mix them together of course, in the lower part of this section and put them like this, and that means like this, and also the other side over here, as well as the lower side of the boots, with this. And before I forget about it, we should also cover the other one inside here, the front of this one in the lower color. Now you take a damp brush, and that means you blend them together as such. It's called wet blending. It's a nice advanced technique of blending the colors together and creating a nice gradient. You do that from the other side as well as on the boots. Very easy. Now, this is what it looks like when it's finished. A slightly dirtier, more weathered look. Now, this one is putting that to the side, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's finished. This is what it looks like when it's finished, and you can see it's quite okay. Now you can see that now what you need to do is you need to paint the white, take some standard regular white and paint the knee pads. Knee pads like this, and on the other side like this, the loin protection like this, and the edges of the 2 bags. You also do this on the edges of the backpack, the top of the backpack, and of course the main focal point, which is the helmet. Since you're going to be batch painting these, it's a good idea, I'll show you what's going to be next, making sure that of course you don't cover the eyes here. That would be, if you do, just do some Nuln oil here, this little strap here as well. Take some Nuln oil and go back again over the area, and then you'll be fine. I also like to put a little bit around the cuffs of the hands here in this color, as well as the shoulder, just to give it a little bit of variation as such. Okay, and a little bit at the inside of the torso. I would like to do this with white as well. Now, if you were to cover the eyes, which actually happens, that means you just take some Nuln oil when it's dried and refill them. Now, I can recommend, if you're batch painting them, that you're going to put some glaze medium in your color. That means it's going to be, it's kind of like, I don't know how to say this in another word, but it's kind of like it increases the drying time and increases the time that paint stays wet. So that means it's ideal for wet blending, but also if you're batch painting them. So as such. Now, you're going to simply end up with nice new models, such as these. Now, you're probably wondering, what can I do to take it a little one step further? What you can do is, you can take some Nuln oil and fill in these holes here, as such. And you can also use the Nuln oil to shade any areas that you think should be shaded. Now, you can probably see that all these folds and fabric will be obstructed if you paint it over. But this is a solution. The final thing you do before you paint the base is simply this. You take some Agrax Earthshade, which I don't have right now in the bottle because I put them out here in a mixer bottle from Armor Painter. I can recommend that you take these if you want to use a lot of colors, and especially mixing them together, this one is a good idea, and they come empty. Then you take one part of 2 parts of Agrax Earthshade, 1 part of Nuln oil, and you take 18 parts of Lahmian medium and mix them together. And that means you're going to end up with a very liquid, kind of like very thin wash. And you're going to do, what you're going to do with these ones is that you are going to take this thin wash and cover the areas over here, the thighs, as well as the cape, to give that a slightly very diluted shade, to make sure that all those fabric folds are actually seen. You can put that on the backpack as well as on the boots and the front of the cape. They also like to do that on the right shoulder as well. So just to blend them together, make sure nothing is obstructed or anything. Now, since you're going to be batch painting about 35 of them, it takes time. I spent 2-3 days just batch painting them and leaving like 4 or 5 models for you to see what they look like. And that speeds it up. Now, it is quite like these ones. I'll show you this one. You take it from this one, and eventually it's going to end up like this one. A lot more shadow, a lot more definition, and I think they look phenomenal on the battlefield when you actually deploy your Snowtroopers from your AT-ATs and letting the probe droids attack the rebel fortress in the battlefield, just like what they did when you watched the movie The Empire Strikes Back. Now, this is a very, very basic tutorial. Now, if you are going to paint the base, you can simply paint it white. I'll show you how to paint it white. Just take any basic white paint and paint it white as such. Okay, don't worry if you get some kind of like white on the boots. You can explain it with snow. If you do have access to a snow paint, such as Citadel's Blizzard, I think it's Blizzard Snow or Blizzard White, you can of course cover this one. You can even cover some of the miniature with this snow part as well. And I would also recommend painting the rim of the base black or grey or something like that, looking it nice and neat. Now, this is a very basic tutorial of how to paint the Snowtroopers of Star Wars Battle of Hoth, published by Days of Wonder. I'm going to be continuing this series, and now when the imperial side is completely done, now I'm going to move my attention over to the rebel side. That means I'll be painting the rebel fortifications, the rebel speeders, as well as the rebel troopers defending Echo Base. Now, I think it's called Echo Base. So if you like this kind of video, please hit that thumb up and subscribe to my channel for the algorithm. For all of you who have subscribed to my channel so far, thank you so much. I hope you're learning something, and it really helps me to keep going. I'm approaching 500 subscribers. I think I'm 2 away from it, so if I can hit 500 subscribers by the end of this weekend, that would be phenomenal. And I'm also approaching 200 videos since I started this one about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, thank you very much for watching this tutorial of how to paint the Snowtroopers for Star Wars Battle of Hoth, published by Days of Wonder. And I'll see you in the next video.